Elon Musk just doesn't really seem physically capable of not ending up in the news at any point over the last few months. Now, what's exactly spurred on this brand new video? Well, he came out with a couple of emails that he sent out to many Tesla employees, basically rallying against working from home, stating that he wants people back in the office. And as you would expect, that's a very hot topic these days. Following the COVID pandemic, millions of people were forced to work from home for the first time, and millions of businesses found that actually employees that work from home can oftentimes perform just as well as those who work in the office. Some businesses do fundamentally disagree with this idea, and personally, I'm pretty sure it just depends on the type of job you're doing. But Elon Musk has taken his particular stance, and he's made it clear that Tesla and Tesla's employees will be returning to the office or they will not be working at Tesla. Now, in this video, we will, of course, look at the specific emails that Elon sent. We'll also look at the context, look at exactly what's going on, and look at why people are just so upset. But first, a little bit of background, because, of course, Elon is buying Twitter as we speak, or at least hopefully he is. That is the idea. We aren't 100% sure if this deal is actually going to go through or not, but in my opinion, it is still heading in that direction. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, basically because Twitter has a culture problem. Actually, the entirety of Silicon Valley has a culture problem where thousands or probably close to millions of employees are paid far too much and work far too little. And in the time of quantitative easing, of gross money printing by the Federal Reserve, when capital was coming in at 0.1% interest rates for billion-dollar loans, that wasn't really a problem. It didn't hurt to hire too many lazy people who weren't willing to really put the work in and be worth their salt. But nowadays, with the monetary environment changing, well, that kind of thing matters now. Now, as Elon will be taking over Twitter, or at least if this deal goes through, well, he's been outspoken about those Twitter employees, basically saying that their culture is going to change, that they've had it too easy for too long, that they are too well paid for the work they do, and that once he comes into power, he's going to be making changes there. Now, this was a little bit of a shock for Twitter employees because by and large, they tend to be rather left-leaning. And for 14 years now, they've had a very accommodative leadership who are more than happy for them to concentrate on their mental health to ensure that they're happy and to work at their own pace, as long as at the end of the day, the job is done. Literally earlier this year, it came out that Twitter was announcing a work from home forever program where people can basically work from wherever they like. They can even move out of the country, move out of the state, move city, work from anywhere as long as they get their job done. Now, this is a very kind offer, but does it still stand into the future? Well, no one was really sure up until this point, but the way Elon is going about working from home regarding his Tesla employees, well, this deal is looking a little bit less likely as well. It's safe to say then that Elon Musk is not really a fan of working from home. We're not 100% sure why, but it's probably to do with something to do with productivity. He will have a load of data at his fingertips that we just don't have access to, and he's probably come to quite a valid conclusion. Now, what is the exact news that has actually spurred on this video? Well, as I said, Elon sent out a couple of emails to some of his staff and they were leaked, as of course they are. They were sent out to multiple people, so that kind of thing is always going to get leaked. So let's take a quick look at what they are, starting with the first one. Now, as you can see, it is from Elon himself and it is to the executive staff of Tesla. And the subject is remote work is no longer acceptable. Anyone who wishes to do remote work must be in the office for a minimum, and I mean minimum, of 40 hours per week or depart Tesla. This is less than we ask of factory workers. If there are particularly exceptional contributors for whom this is impossible, I will review and approve those conditions, those exceptions directly. Moreover, the office must be a main Tesla office, not a remote branch office unrelated to the job duties. For example, being responsible for Fremont factory human relations, but having your office be in another state. Thanks, Elon. The second email then came a little bit later, and this was to a far wider group of people of Tesla employees. We're not 100% sure how many Tesla employees or just which Tesla employees actually received this one, but it is far more than the first. This one is titled, "To be super clear, everyone at Tesla is required to spend a minimum of 40 hours in the office per week. Moreover, the office must be where your actual colleagues are located, not some remote pseudo office. If you don't show up, we will assume you have resigned. The more senior you are, the more visible must be your presence. That is why I lived in the factory so much, so that those on the line could see me working alongside them. If I had not done that, Tesla would long ago have gone bankrupt." There are, of course, companies that don't require this, but when was the last time they shipped a great new product? It's been a while. Tesla has and will create and actually manufacture the most exciting and meaningful products of any company on earth. This will not happen by phoning it in. So as you can see, he clearly feels very strongly about this, but there are a few things to actually note that a lot of people are ignoring. The first is that that initial email was just to the executive staff at Tesla, the high-paid managerial positions whose job is basically to manage other people who actually manage jobs themselves. Now, in this role, it is probably fair to say that actually people are far more effective having real contact with their employees, being able to manage them, being able to ensure that there are synergies amongst teams and that people are getting their jobs done. So really, I don't see much wrong with that first email he sent. It's also worth noting that execs get paid a lot of money. In 2020, I believe, Tesla paid out $50 million to a handful of executives. Frankly, I don't think that just because you earn maybe $1 million a year, you're exempt from pretty simple working conditions. If you can go get another job and you want to, then go ahead, I say. Another thing that Elon specifically does there is he mentions how factory workers basically work much harder than office workers, and that how office workers don't really have a leg to stand on if they're complaining about not being able to work from the office. Now, for this, there are sort of two sides to the argument. There are those who work manual labor jobs and understand what an actual hard day's graft means, and those people are sort of like, yeah, why shouldn't you work in an actual office? It really isn't that much of a strain or that strenuous or anything. It's far better than being on your feet working with your hands, so stop complaining. The other side, though, see this as sort of just throwing that in some people's faces to try and further his point. Frankly, I can see both sides of that argument. Now, regarding the second email that Elon sent out, this one that's currently up, well, it was addressed to pretty much every office worker, or that's what it seems at this point, and that does seem a little bit more awkward. The first one, Elon said he would personally review any exceptions, meaning that, yeah, it went out to a very small handful of people, probably something like 20 or so men and women, and so he can review each situation individually. With this second one, though, that doesn't really seem to be the case. This is a much more broader based policy, and so actually it's quite likely that there will be quite a lot of resignations because of this. Now, there are plenty of articles out there talking about the consequences of something like this, and the consequences are not minuscule. Some employees will leave because of this. Now, the way that that email was worded makes it seem that actually Elon won't be firing those people who don't turn up to the office. He'll just be assuming they quit, supposedly to get away from having to pay severance and things like that, which may well be a little bit dodgy and actually isn't something I personally support. Nonetheless, those employees that do leave will need to be replaced, and this isn't the best time, the best monetary environment to be hiring people. We're all hearing about how there are more job openings than there are unemployed people, and that means that wages are rising, and actually talent is quite hard to find at the moment. Some other consequences from an action like this is that maybe other major companies follow this same policy. It will probably depend how this works out for Tesla, but if everything is fine within a couple of months, if the vitriol in the press rolls over and everyone forgets about it, then we will probably see other major institutions and major companies follow a similar policy because by and large, large companies like to keep their employees in the office, they like to keep an eye on them, and managers like to have a job. And one of their main jobs is maintaining office integrity, maintaining team synergy and things like that. And that's quite difficult to do over Zoom. Now, of course, there are also lots of other people saying that Tesla is going to die because of this decision, and frankly, I don't think that's true at all. A lot of people are getting quite emotional about this news, and they're seeing it as an attack on their new way of life and an attack on the way that they want to work, even if they don't work for Tesla, never will work for Tesla, and never planned on it in the future. A lot of people seem to be rallying for Tesla to fail simply because of this decision. And frankly, I just don't think that's going to happen. I think its culture speaks for itself. For those of you who watch this channel and have done for a while, you'll know that I think Tesla's share price is overvalued, but I can still easily recognize how innovative the company is and how successful it is. And frankly, I don't even consider it a disruptor in the automotive market anymore. I consider it on par with legacy car makers because its brand recognition and its position in this market is just so cemented. I am, however, really quite curious to hear what all of you have to say. I suspect, this being YouTube and this being the internet, there are quite a few of you who work from home, maybe even a couple of you who work for Tesla from home. I would love to hear from some of you. Please let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. Tell me if I'm wrong, tell me if I'm right, tell me if I'm way off base and if you hate me, and make sure to leave a dislike if that is the case. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to bless the YouTube algorithm. It really does help. If you want to join our exclusive community, then check out our Patreon. You get access to our Discord server and extra content like access to my portfolio and buy and sell alerts to all my own investments. Also, make sure to check out the link in the description to Masterworks. It can help you protect your portfolio against market turmoil through fractional shares of art from world-famous artists. Art has historically proven to be uncorrelated to the markets, so it's a really valuable resource if the market's falling every week. There's also a link in the description to I Trust Capital, which helps you to invest in crypto through your tax-advantaged IRA, which could literally save you thousands. If you, like me, think crypto going down is a buy-in opportunity, then now is the perfect time to join I Trust Capital. Thank you all for watching. Stay stoic. Until next time.